Good day everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to a new review. For today I have a cheap action camera from China that can record in 4K at 30 frames per second and can also make a Wi-Fi network so you can control this camera from your smartphone. For specs we have an Allwinner V3 CPU and a Sony IMX179 image sensor. Keep in mind that none of these cheaper action cameras from China can actually record in 4K, so the 4K recordings that you are seeing are actually 2K recordings that are interpolated to 4K, so always keep that in mind. Starting with a very quick unboxing, so the camera comes in a white box. On the front of the box we see the brand name, but we don't really get any specifications about the product on the box. Inside the box we get the action camera itself and the waterproof case. The manufacturer suggests that the waterproof case is gonna be good to up to 30 meters in the water. However, I didn't actually go swimming with it, so I can't really say if that's true or not. Aside from that, we are going to get the user manual, and the user manual it's in English and it's got a whole bunch of instructions on how to use the camera. Next to that, there are a whole bunch of mounts and stickers, so you can basically place the camera anywhere you want with all these mounts that you're going to find in this box. The camera itself looks a lot like a GoPro 4, so we even have a little display on the front of the camera, but the camera overall feels cheap and it doesn't feel like it's made out of premium materials. The small display on the front of the camera doesn't show us as much information as we've seen for past cameras, but you can still see the battery life and if you are in a recording mode or picture taking mode. On top of the camera we have the OK and the recording button, and there is also an LED there that flashes whenever you are recording. Onto the right hand side of the camera we have two buttons, one up, one down, and you can either zoom in or zoom out to those buttons or turn on the Wi-Fi. So yes, this camera can make a Wi-Fi network. On the other side of the camera we have the HDMI out. There is also a micro USB charging port and a slot for an SD card, and I was able to use the 64 gig SD card. As for the charging time, it takes about 2 hours and a half to fully charge this camera, and this camera supports the car mode as well. So that means that the camera can record whenever it's charging. And just above the charging port we have the microphone. Unfortunately the microphone from this camera sounds a bit muffled and the sound is out of sync. I'm gonna show you a couple of examples of some recordings that I've done so you can have a better idea how the microphone sounds.
What's happening everyone? This is a very quick microphone test with this new camera that I'm trying out. As you can probably tell, the windows are open and the only thing you're hearing is my voice. So this is how the microphone sounds. And this is the second microphone test. As you can probably tell, I am outside and it is a bit windy at this time.
And as you've seen and heard, the microphone doesn't sound that great. Now moving back to the camera, we also have a 900 mAh battery inside this camera. The battery is removable and the battery will last for about 90 minutes of recording at 1080p. As for the 2-inch screen on the back of the camera, well, it doesn't have the best viewing angles and it doesn't get that bright, so it is a bit difficult to see outside. Using the camera it's super simple, so you have the power on-off button on the front and that's also the mode button. So if you press that button once, you're gonna be in the video recording mode, and if you press it once again, you're gonna be in the picture taking mode. For the picture taking mode, we don't really have that many settings, so you can change the resolution for the pictures, but we don't really have that much else in there. As for the picture quality, if you take pictures at nighttime, well, the pictures don't turn out good at all, but if you take pictures in bright daylight, the pictures do turn out okay. And these are a couple of examples of pictures that I took with this camera. For the video recording mode, again, we don't have that many settings, so you can basically change the resolution for the recording and a couple of other things, but not that much. Keep in mind that this camera doesn't have gyro stabilization, so there is no stabilization of any sort on this camera. And next I'm gonna show you some footage that I recording during the daytime. And as you've seen, the daytime recordings are not that bad, but they're not amazing either, so about average with most of these cheaper action cameras. Now, it's not the same for the nighttime recording, so I'm gonna let you see a couple of nighttime recordings so you can see what I'm talking about. And as you've seen, the nighttime recordings don't look good at all. Unfortunately, you can barely see anything at nighttime that was recorded with this camera. Now, for other settings, we basically have the language settings, so you can change the settings for the camera. We have the car mode settings there, and you can turn the camera around. So it really depends if you hold it this way or this way. So we don't really have that many options for this camera. If you want to control this camera from your smartphone, you're going to have to download an app from the Google Play Store or the iOS Store, and the app it's called XDV. The Wi-Fi connection works good as long as you're not more than 10 meters away from the camera. After 10 meters it tends to disconnect quite often. So the app is fairly simple. You can record, you can change the resolution, you can take pictures, you can view whatever you have on the camera right on your smartphone, and you can even download whatever you have on the camera right on your smartphone. So a very useful app. And it's time to conclude this video. So for a camera that costs around $55 to $60, it records just like all the other cheaper action cameras from China. The good thing about this camera is the fact that we have that little display on the front, but realistically it doesn't show you that much information. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.